In addition to break-even analysis or break-even pricing, determining the break-even point, you can also utilize fixed margin pricing as a way of determining ultimately how to price your particular products or services. And there are two different types of fixed margin pricing. We have first what we call cost-based pricing. And we also have what we refer to as demand-based pricing. And now these are two separate things, and they accomplish really the same thing. Ultimately, our goal is to price our products in a way that allows us to be profitable, but they achieve those by a different means, of course. With cost-based pricing, typically what we're trying to do is first, we need to determine what our costs are. Determining what does it take us to produce product XYZ. And this generally encompasses your variable costs, which of course vary with the production of the product or service. You would want to consider fixed costs to an extent because you do incur those, although they don't vary with the number of units you produce. But determining your variable costs, and then typically what people do is they apply a markup. And so maybe this can be a percentage of markup, say 20% above costs. And so they apply that evenly across the board because that allows them to at least cover their costs and have some type of margin, and so they are making a little bit of money. Now, of course, you need to consider the fixed cost aspect because that wouldn't be represented in variable costs, but certainly a way to price your particular products. A lot of retailers will use this and just maintain certain margins across all of their different products, ensuring them that they have some level of profitability. Now, demand-based pricing works a little different. Demand-based pricing almost works like you're reverse engineering the actual price. And what you start with is actual demand from consumers. So you try and figure out, well, what are consumers willing to pay, right? Ultimately, consumers set the price, right? If it's too high, they're not going to purchase the product. If it's too low, then they might think it's low quality, or they say they purchase everything and then you don't have enough to go around. And so consumers ultimately vote on what is an acceptable price. And so why don't we start by gauging what the demand is, what are consumers willing to pay? And then what we do is that we try to develop or determine a reasonable cost that we'd like to achieve. And so we say, okay, well, consumers are willing to pay, let's say, $20 for this particular item, whatever it is. And so they're willing to pay $20, no more than that. And obviously we don't want to charge more, but we don't want to undercut ourselves. And we really want to get at least a $4 margin. And so that means we need to find a way to actually create or manufacture our products for $16 a unit. Is that feasible? And so then we work backwards, and now we try to hit a certain cost target, which in this case is $16 a unit, as a way of making sure that, one, we're priced right, so we know consumers are going to purchase this at $20 a unit. We know that we want $4 as a profit margin, and so we have to find a way to produce it for $16. And so maybe we think about some very innovative and interesting ways that we can actually maintain this cost level, if you will, so we can ultimately achieve that profit margin and then sell our products in a way that is very attractive and appealing ultimately to consumers. And so these are two ways to utilize what we call fixed margin pricing, maintaining fixed margins that do not vary. They simply vary in total based upon the quantity that we actually sell.